Welcome to the show, guys. Arjun and Priyansha. Thank you for taking the time out. I know the Mumbai Urban Art Festival is on, so thank you.
Not at all. Pleasure.
So
Pleasure.
before we get right into the state of public art in India,
Yeah.
let's get to know you both a little bit more. So a little bit of your journey into the space.
So should I start with myself, or I think Priyansha should start?
I think let's
and then
start with Priyansha.
Come on then, Priyansha.
Okay, my journey started from design, and from exhibition design, I moved into contemporary art and curatorial studies. And last year, I started working with the Start India Foundation to curate the Mumbai Urban Art Festival. I also run an e-commerce gallery that's called inordinary.in, and is a curated gallery for design and handcrafted collectibles. Yes, and I am deeply fascinated with how we are able to engage with the people of Mumbai with art and bring these very interesting experiences to them.
Great.
So I think Priyansha started. I think a little background of who I am and what I do, and most importantly about the organization I've had the opportunity to work with and co-found. I have been working with artists for probably now 23 years. I may look a little young, but it's the...
You actually do. 23 years.
23 years,
Wow.
yeah. And it's since 2000, in fact, I've been started to work with artists. I could never be an artist myself, right? I always wanted to be working in music, but I think I was better creating a life around artists and trying to figure out a way forward with them in experiences, in doing different things. So my first job was working in nightclubs. We set up a nightclub in Delhi called Elevate. And before that, I was a promoter of small events, music events, and mostly electronic. And that was an amazing kind of a journey. And from there, I studied events. I worked at Elevate for 3-4 years. It was quite a banging nightclub. It was at one point the top 50 nightclubs in the world. It had a bodysonic dance floor. We got the best designer from London who designed fabric to install it. And the journey was amazing. And booking artists was amazing. That was my first real proper job, if I may say. Post which I went to study. So while I was working at Elevate, I studied events and tourism management as my first degree. That's my master's, and I did a postmaster's diploma in music business. And I've been working in music since then. I've been working in the performance spaces. I set up an event company. I was doing weddings for the longest time, and it was great. Financially, it was great. From a vision perspective, it was great. I happened to work with all the right people, where budgets was not a constraint.
Yeah.
And all ideas I always wanted to do was possible. So we've done big artists, we've done big acts. We got Cirque du Soleil to India for a wedding. We've done super big
For a wedding, huh?
For a wedding,
Yeah, it's Delhi weddings.
Yeah. It was actually from a person from Mumbai who's getting married in Delhi. But yes, Delhi weddings are like that,
Yeah.
So, and happened to also book Donna Summers at some point and work with some big superstar international artists, or including all the top DJs. And there came a time while I was doing all of this and setting up nightclubs. I was doing sound and light for nightclubs with my partner Dave Berry, who I set up Elevate with. There was a time it was getting a bit too much, and I was anyway like, what do we do next? And I've been working with Hanif, who's one of the co-founders from a previous life. He used to work at White and Kennedy, which was run by a very dear friend of mine, V. Sunil. And that's where I met Hanif, and Hanif wanted to do a graffiti festival. And that's how it kind of started. We had another partner, Akshat, who co-founded the festival, who's looking after the documentation. He left last year for his own personal explorations. And we met Julia on the way, and Aneesh, who's working with me at Crayon. So we all came together.
So you have 4 co-founders at Start?
We have 5 co-founders,
Okay.
Actually, and we have 4 working co-founders right
Okay.
now. Yeah. And we all have different roles. And really, at that time when we started Start, it was very nascent, right? We knew what we were doing, but we didn't know the magnitude of what it may become. It was meant to be a 20% project that we spend 20% of our times doing this, and we focus on work which brings money.
Yeah.
But the response was great, right? And the response was great from, I would say, the people who were seeing all this, which was happening, from the government and the stakeholders. And in general, there was a need of doing art in public spaces. Art in public spaces it's interesting, right? We have so much advertisement in public spaces, so much, I would say, illegal advertisements as well, but there was no art really. And whatever was shown to us was either put up by the government in terms of sculptures, in terms of things like that, but there was nothing for the common people and something which connects to everyone and brings communities together, works in communities, goes through difficult situations. Convinces them that we are here to just paint a mural and not doing Coca-Cola hoarding, right? Because they people don't get it. Why the hell are we going and putting art in public spaces for free of cost, not even taking money? So the people are suspicious at beginning. But I think when you get that community buy-in, and when you start understanding how the community works, and you somehow or the other become a partner with the community as well as the municipal corporation, because these communities are managed by municipal corporations. Many a times you're working in buildings which are owned by municipal corporations. You somewhere or the other find yourself as a bridge, a talking bridge to these two people, and seeing how we can come in, do some interventions and engage with the community. And I think that's what START is, try to bring art for all. And that's what we've been
Which were
on.
your first public art projects?
I mean, the first festival was in Delhi in 2014. We happened to work in Shahpurjat. We happened to work in Hoskas Village. And Hoskas Village was the hot thing at some point. It was coming up. Really, it was already a very cool thing at one point. But, it sees its years. There's always a trajectory which goes up and then it comes back down. It's always been like that. And we were working in these two urban villages, and it was great. But I think the first mural, which was a large-scale mural, which we had no clue how to do, was with the Delhi Police headquarters. We happened to have a friend whose mother was an IPS officer who loved art, and she had invited us to work in Tihar Jail. As you know, Tihar Jail is one of the most populous jails in Asia. While we were working there, she said, you know what, why don't you meet the Commissioner of Police? And we were going to meet the Commissioner of Police just to introduce what we do, see what is there. And I still remember there was this big wall on the commissioners, the building. It was a PWD building in central Delhi. And he said, why don't we do something here? Without having any clue that how we'll get to that height, right? That height was about 120 feet. And it's like, okay, we proposed. And the next week we get a call asking for they called us for a meeting saying that it's approved. So we wanted to do a Gandhi, which was something which would be acceptable.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do a young Gandhi. But what was approved was a sketch of an old Gandhi, which everyone knows. It's the young Gandhi would have started more conversations. A suited
That's actually
Gandhi.
very interesting. I've never heard the term young Gandhi. And that's super interesting if it was also done.
But we were told very clearly that let's not try to play with this. There is a certain
political,
more than political. There's a certain image, and we don't want so many discourses. And I think for us, that was very important. That step was important because it started legitimizing what we do. And we had a great two artists during that time. We had a German artist, which was brought in by Goethe, our first partners, our first funders in India, who for the first time anyone believed on us, and who gave us a little bit of seed money to start off. And we had Hendrik, ECB, popular, very big artist, and he works on portraits of unknown faces. And that's another story. But we had along with her Anpu, who was working and assisting him. And we requested Hendrik, he's known to make murals which are 120 feet, 130, 160 feet, 200 feet, big, large portraits. He said, we are at a stage in India where things can happen. It's a young India. We want young people to consume art. While we know you don't make known faces, you make, anonymous. Can you please do us this favor? And he kind of listened. He said, okay, we'll do it. I understand where you guys are. And if it can help the scene, I'll do it. And really, that's where it all started. Because getting permissions, showing people the scale, showing people the art. And today, even that Gandhi ji on Delhi Police Headquarters after 8 years, 9 years, it's still beautiful. It's lovely. So it's aged beautifully. And that was the kind of a genesis of start. And then we obviously slowly grew up. We started understanding what was happening, understanding the scene, understanding what we want to do, and started getting into a better plans and actions. But we still spend 80% of our time. It was never meant to be a 20% project. I think we got tricked into it.
It's never a 20% project.
Yeah.
I want to give a little shout out to Goethe Max Miller Bhavan.
Yeah.
My first ever exhibition was funded by them as well.
Nice.
And I think they do this globally, right? They're so vested in arts, and it's really, really encouraging to see even this kind of stuff they put up, at least in Bombay. So a little shout out to them. How's it been to work with governments?
It's been very encouraging. I'll be honest. I wouldn't say there were bad incidences. I mean, obviously there are differences of opinion. Obviously, many a times we are called in to do certain murals, and which we try to stay away from. We are a non-political organization. We don't understand religion. Neither do we want to get into the conversations. We are here to create art. There are social topics we need to talk about, which we deal with in a very sensitive manner. We also want to create a scene which will last, and which is independent in thought. Saying that, we work mostly with bureaucrats, because that's where the permissions come from, with the city planners, with the municipalities, and people like that. And that's been it's been a great experience, because the people who we met have been energetic, the people who really want to do something for communities, because the kind of spaces we work in, most of the spaces, these are not spaces which are, very elite. Other than, I would say Lodi Colony sits between Meherchand Market and Khanna Market. Beyond that, if you see most of the places, we work in Dharavi, which is Mahi, we work in Kanagi, and Ukudum, and Makta, and, these are art districts which we have across India. So it's, over there, the need of the hour is much more. It's much greater. There is a community which is wanting it, which wants to understand what you're doing, wants to contribute, is excited, is hoping that the child or whoever's working will probably get a better job.
Yeah.
There is a upskilling moments. And now, after the 6 art districts, now intention is to create skill centers in these art districts. So, vocational art, small courses, putting a computer, teaching some of the kids on graphic design, seeing if there are some sparks and we can take forward or help into more formal education. And that's what the idea is. How do we work with people and bring this community up and let it be a free thought, let it be art, and let it just be for the public spaces.
So how many art districts now? 6, you said?
We've got 6 art districts.
Can you take me through them? Where all?
We've got the Lodi Art District, which is the foremost art district of ours.
That's the thing I've seen first, I think, from your projects.
Yeah. That's the first one we started. That's the first one we thought of putting up. We said, okay, let's not dilute, or let's not just spread ourselves too thin.
Yeah.
Let's focus in an area which is, in fact, Lodi is a beautiful example. It's non-gated. It's one of the only pedestrian-friendly places in Delhi. It's bang in the middle of Delhi. It's in the middle of a lot of important historical, cultural spaces. And it's something, the walls are homogeneous. It's the same walls. It's British architecture. Though it's going to be redeveloped. So we're going to lose Lodi Colony at some point. But it's fine. I think that itself as an idea will stay longer. It'll stay online, obviously, and we'll find more districts. It's an emotional conversation, but it is always part of the redevelopment plan of Delhi. We have Goa, we have Panjim, our district which we often frequently work. Chennai, Kanagi.
Chennai is a newer one, right?
It's been 3 years, but
it's been 3 years.
4 years, yeah. But we've been working very heavily. It's Chennai, the Kanagi is one of the largest colonies built after the tsunami, where people got displaced. A lot of the families are from that. And I think we've got about 25 artworks. After every project, we do a massive concert with the locals. We bring in hip hop with Kathakali, Bharatanatyam, or local languages, and everything together. Even doing large murals on the street and all of that. So it's something. Chennai has a energy which is really out there. We have Okudam, which is Coimbatore. We have Hyderabad, Makta, and Mumbai. We have Mahim East Art District, and they all work in progress. I think together they must be having about 200 plus murals from, I don't know, 10, 15 nationalities, including Indian artists. Yeah.
That's super interesting. Apart from your projects, any other things that come to your mind about public art, notable stuff?
I mean, now you see there's a lot of movement in public art all over India, and there are great projects which you see often. I think the important part is that India is in a period where there is some sort of a policy conversation on public art. There needs to be clarity on CSR and public art a bit more, and I think that will give a little bit more impetus because there are people who want to fund it, right? The issue is branding on public.
I was just going to say that. To me, the moment you said CSR, right? When is that logo going to come?
No, I think CSR money is still fine. Issue is brands coming on the streets, and heavily. Issue is Netflix coming on the streets.
That whole Budweiser fiasco happened.
Yeah.
Where they had painted over. I think the moment this thing becomes a lot more open, every brand is like, okay, we need to be cool. We need to have street art.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. And see, it's not like we don't need money. We do need money. We need the right money, right? You need to have some of the brands understand, yes, you're going to be putting money into, and you have to put it on a long-term basis. You need to also, you're answerable to your board, you're answerable to your shareholders. Some of these companies are public companies. But there's a way of doing it, right? It's you can't brand it, right? You can't tell us to use a brand colors everywhere. I mean, obviously you want a mileage out of it. Do it on video, do it on social, but have a nice tonality to it. Don't try to start making it into a billboard, right? Let the artist and his practice be independent. Yeah. Let the curation be independent as much as possible. I mean, that's the thing. That's where we are also, we get approached by brands on a daily basis and we say no to a lot of money. It's hard to say no to money, but we still believe in what we do and what we started this for. It was meant to be a 20% gig. It was meant to be for fun. It was meant to be, we are having fun. I think people are having fun. I think our country needs it. Our country is a young country. We can't keep on seeing the same sculptures. We can't see some stones put together, which are beautiful. I have no disrespect to it. But we want to see something which we connect to, which I don't need to be an art critic. I don't need to go to an art school to understand what art is.
Absolutely.
Who created that rule?
I think that's the very constant conversation we've been having. By we, I mean a lot of my friend circle in Bombay. We are not critics of art or anything. We just like stuff.
Enjoy it.
And just enjoy it. And Bombay right now is a great time to be into all of this because there's so much happening, right? The festival's on. There's gallery weekend happening. Just the last couple of weeks, so much has been happening.
Yeah. I think it's the post-COVID aggressive comeback.
like one of the spaces that really, I think worked beautifully in Bombay was the skate park, where again, I think you guys are doing something starting tomorrow. But art-wise, that was just so beautifully done. Completely utility area, right? People are skateboarding. Super like young kids, 5-6 years old skateboarding. I tried to learn skateboarding, but after falling a few times and being called uncle 100 times over there, I was like, maybe not. But like to me, it's also seeing more kind of places like that where it is so art heavy, but at the same time, it's an absolute utility place.
Yeah. I mean, these are things which make the city.
Yeah.
Without that, you don't. If I'm walking and if I see someone skating and doing a trick or whatever it may be, even falling, it makes me happy. Not the falling part, but it's visually pleasing. Wow, how does he do it? And then you see color and you see this hip hop and so on coming with a small sound system, and you're like, okay, wow, things are going. It's a happy street, and we need happy streets. There's too much negativity everywhere. We don't need to be a part of more negativity. If we can have activities which are common and for everyone and democratic, I think that's what Start wants to do beyond art. I mean, that's what we in fact do more. We're known for the art, but we work a lot with the community, and the process of it, you may just see the mural, but the process is intense, right? And what we go over and the sensibilities, who we have to work with, how we should be functioning as a team, how we should be functioning. I mean, every day it's a check and balance. You sometimes do the right things, sometimes you do the wrong things, but we understand working with communities. Yeah.
From the time you think of, let's say, identifying an area to, let's say, having your first mural go up? Like, what's the kind of timeline and process?
It can be quick, but we have after so many years you gotten organized, so we try to plan in advance. I would say now, planning is about a year and a half to 2 years. We can still do better. So we have some sort of outlook of what we want to achieve and what are the cities we want to go to. It depends on the curatorial note. It depends on the funding we try to get. But I think from conceptualization to starting to talk to the artist to actually execution is about 3 to 4 months. So there is a time which it takes.
Yeah. Oh, that's not that bad though.
It's not bad, yeah.
Yeah.
But when you have to do like 60 murals, it's
which were some of your like most memorable ones where you're like, how the hell are we going to pull this off?
I think the Gandhi was difficult because we didn't know there's a machine which is called the boom lift.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Haneef about this, and I was like, boss, the commissioner is calling us. And one thing the commissioner said that, boss, please make sure Gandhiji looks like Gandhiji, okay? Otherwise, not too far.
Yeah.
Like, so of course it'll look like Gandhiji. We'll figure it out. And I had a friend in Dubai, a very close friend of mine who is from the construction industry. I was like, boss, I need to get there.
Yeah.
So what you need is a boom lift. I was like, okay, I need a boom lift. That's how we found a boom lift, and things got changed. But the scale of it, right? Forget the infrastructure. The scale of it, the planning of it, the safety of it, and the safety of people who viewing it and people working is key and critical. I mean, we work on very large surfaces, and it's not you need a heavy heart to be at 160 feet of height for 10 hours a day under the sun. It's not easy. But I think the importance of Gandhiji's mural at the Churchgate station was because of the freedom struggle, and while he was on the train, and it made a big impact on his journey. I think that was done to depict that, and the Churchgate is the lifeline of Mumbai.
Yeah.
So it was appropriate. I'll be very honest. It was also a very difficult subject, Priyansha, to work in a very iconic space. There are many a times enough and more critics, which is fine. But also some of the people who give us permissions, they want to be a little safe on some of these matters. Saying that, I think Gandhi was still a good fit because of the connotation and what happened and why we did it. But yeah, that's my honest answer, if you ask me. Yeah.
Actually, must say, when Churchgate did their facade renovation or whatever, my first thing was, what the hell is this? Because they just made, want to be very politically correct here, an average looking building kind of below average. And then once I was driving and suddenly I see this mural, which came in, I guess, a little later after they did that whole renovation bit. And the immediate thing was, dude, what happened here? Let me get a picture of this. And I think that's the power of something like that in the public art space, that it just, even if you were just simply driving or in a cab, you just suddenly take notice and say, what the hell happened here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not, physically when you see the work, it really blows you away.
Yeah.
And Gandhi was, it's like kind of an anamorphic work because it was on, like it had a L angle. So you have to see it from a particular side. When you see it, it looked like a flat mural. So it was very smartly done if you noticed it and if you spent some time around the building. And that was lovely because playing with that perception and the perspective rather from about 60, 70 feet away from the building, diagonally opposite, and seeing a flat wall while it's not flat is beautiful for the eyes. You like how we saw the ad right now, right?
Yeah.
That was lovely.
Let's not name the company.
They're friends of mine.
No, but Swami all the way.
Cheers to that.
Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcasts Network. We have a special announcement introducing Club Paisa Vaisa, where you get episodes of Paisa Vaisa 3 days before release, bonus and ad-free content, and access to the full show archive. So get your yearly membership today for only Rs. 6.99. Log on to club.ivmpodcasts.com/Paisa Vaisa. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus is joined by actor Kunal Roy Kapoor. They revisit the actor's theatre days, his work on celluloid and more. On Has It Aged Well, Abbas and Urjita are joined by Antariksh Thakkar, aka Silvery, to discuss the 90s buddy cop hit Main Khiladi Tu Anari. New episodes on the IVM Pop channel every Monday. On Pop Rap, Snehal, Farah and Antariksh discuss horror stories and myths that gave them the goosebumps. New episodes are out on the IVM Pop channel every Friday. And on Just a Filmy Game Show, Antariksh gets Meghnad and comedian Kunal Rao to compete for the title of the biggest Bollywood Divana. New episodes are out on the IVM Pop channel. Once again, don't forget to visit our merch store on ivmpodcasts.com. We have some exciting stuff for you. Follow us on social media. We are IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you like our show, spread the word, tell your friends, and don't forget to rate and review them wherever you're listening to them. You'll also find all our shows on youtube.com/IVM Podcasts. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week, Capgemini and HDFC Mutual Fund. Thank you for making this possible.
We're back on the niche thing. We're talking about art in public places. So Priyansha, tell me more about what's happening in Bombay.
Well, Start India Foundation and Asian Paints have come together to present the Mumbai Urban Art Festival. This particular festival is happening at Sassoon Docks along with other places. The Mumbai Urban Art Festival is an exhibition, an art exhibition that brings art to the public. And it is a way of celebrating places that people don't always frequent, but also trying to bring to light some places and some particular politics around places that have been struggling in a particular way. The Mumbai Art Festival is composed of intuitions between the sea and the city, illusions between the sea and the city, and AP Art House, along with some landmark murals, some immersive installations and sculptures around the city.
We saw one sculpture today before the recording. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, we saw a sculpture that's called On the Brink by Martin Khosla. Martin Khosla is an artist and architect who's based in Delhi, and he is looking at regeneration. This particular mural that is composed of two doors that are kind of intertwined and twisted is at Bandstand opposite Barista. And it kind of talks about how people grapple with their past to kind of recompose their present and what future can be. So yeah, that's a very exciting sculpture that will be open to the public in about a week. It's still out there already. We're just kind of doing a few touches, finishing touches and lighting touches. But anybody can kind of explore it. We are also trying to find ways to make these sculptures permanent. That was also a very long-term plan when we first started working on the Mumbai Urban Art Festival, about trying to find spots in the city that don't only pop up as a festival, but also can be made permanent, right? Because our city really needs that.
Yeah.
I don't really want to comment on some of the hideous sculptures that exist in the city.
I have no clue what you're talking about. Let's not even get into it.
Okay, right. So,
but this is which year we are? Which year of the art festival is this?
So I would say that the Mumbai Urban Art Festival, this is its first edition, but we've had Sassoon Docks Art Project that's been kind of taking place since 2017. So in some way, this is the second edition of the Sassoon Docks Art Project, but it's the first edition of the Mumbai Urban Art Festival. The Mumbai Urban Art Festival is much larger and incorporates many other places in the city. Whereas the Sassoon Docks Art Project, of course, is focused at Sassoon Docks.
So let's go back to the dock, right? Why that location to begin with?
You know, I think this has a very interesting story, and I think I'm going to let Arjun speak about this.
I mean, the story, I don't know which one you're referring to, Priyansha, but in my head, I'm
referring to where we just ate food and how that's connected to this larger discourse.
Okay, yes. So we have a brother. His name is Riaz Amlani.
Of course.
Yeah, I think he's everyone's brother.
Yeah.
And Riaz, we knew about the dock. We knew what the dock was. But Riaz, the way he is and the amount of interest he has in a city beyond F&B and just as a city, he kind of told us, let's go check out the docks, guys. and we've been working with Riaz before that, as professionally, as friends. He's part of our advisory body and so on and so forth. And I think that's where it happened. I think Julia or Hanif, one of these guys, went and saw the docks, and from a different avatar. And he said, if you guys want to do something, I know someone at the dock. And yeah, that's really it. That's really where it started. And I think for us, when we went there first, we were like, okay, guys, it's great. It's smelly though.
It's smelly.
It's smelly, and
Follow the smell.
Follow the smell.
there's nothing you can do about it. I was tasked upon bringing people from the perfumery and diffusion industry to see how we can reduce the smell. I'm like, boss, this is not happening.
That's counterproductive, right?
Yeah.
You can't go to an area like that and
There's too much smell. What do we do? We said, you know what? After being there for some time, I said, yes, it is smelly, but now we don't smell it. Your senses are such, you stop smelling. Even though you know the smell, but you stop. And we said, we're going to make an effort, going to clean this place up.
Yeah.
It's going to be a task, but we're going to speak to the Mumbai Port Authority, who are our partners. We're going to request them. We're going to speak to people of the fishing, the peeling. We're going to try as much as possible. We're going to clean it ourselves. So I think that has made it a little bit more, in terms of, it's cleaned it up.
Yeah.
But it is, Mumbai is a place of smell. There are so many senses. You come to Mumbai, you actually realize how much sense of smell there is. There are different spaces which smell differently, and the fish smell is not something which is new to Mumbai. You're sitting even on the Carter Road.
Yeah.
You get the same smell you get in Sassoon. So it's nothing we need to be afraid of. In fact, I think we're going to use that smell to our advantage, and I think that's what's happened. There are people who have napkins and hankies on their face. I've seen people puking. It's fine, but after a while they get it and they see the art. I think the art is so beautiful.
Edition 1, whichever last year was, right? COVID sometimes you forget which year what happened.
Yeah.
2017 and
Sam
18.
Sam had done one thing around perfumes, right?
Yeah.
On that space upstairs where he's also exhibiting this year.
Exactly. Right on the opposite side this time.
Yeah.
It was lovely. There was a Chanel number 5, right?
Yeah,
A typical bottle of Chanel.
Yeah.
He had a little bit of coffee on the side so
Yeah.
people can change their smell. And everyone took a box of Sassoon. And in
Yeah.
fact, we get mails and we get messages from people who've kept that box of Sassoon, right? But I think, that Sassoon smell is so, I would say, elusive. That box can't hold it after 5 years. So I think you have to come back to Sassoon and redo it.
There's a Russell Peters piece on, when you land in Bombay and you get out of the aircraft and this thing hits you.
Yeah.
It's the Mumbai smell.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely true.
But now you don't get it because now you have those, you're not going into,
Yeah.
you're not going down the staircase. Now you're going straight into the, whatever they call, travelator, whatever they call it. Yeah.
So coming back to Sassoon, since you've curated most of it, I assume, please tell me more about what's happening there. What murals are there? What sculptures are there? I remember seeing one thing which was it's like this breathing sort of a metal thing. So tell us more about what's on exhibition.
Okay. So when we first started, having conversations around curation, and this is along with Julia, who's the chief curator, and Riya Maheshwari and Vasudha, I think there were 2 texts that we were looking at. One is Kinetic Cities by Rahul Mehrotra, and one was Soak, which is a book and an exhibition by Dilip Kunha and Anuradha Mathur. And we were very excited about how Mumbai, that's a city that's constantly in flux, constantly changing, constantly evolving, how we could use the metaphor of water to kind of reflect on this city, right? Because water as well is constantly changing, it's never still. And also because Mumbai's relationship with its water bodies is for many, 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 many years. So it kind of became a very interesting way to look at water as a protagonist in a lot of the artists' work, but also to see how water then shapes the city, right? Because it's water that changes a city into, or rather changes a piece of land into and kind of brings a port and then further kind of turns it into a bazaar. And that's really kind of what we've explored, at least with the intuitions between the sea and the city. So you see the work of local and international artists that are using water as a protagonist. And then in the other building, which is called Illusions Between the Sea and the City, we're actually seeing the relationship the other way. So how the city actually reflects on water, right? And how that creates an illusion, be it an illusion that's caused by social media, be it an illusion that's caused around the stress that we all experience in a city, right? So then in the second building, we're actually exploring those kinds of illusions. The work that you're talking about, the breathing work, that's kind of created by reclaimed metal scrap, which is of course such a defining character of the city, right? We're all kind of living still living in an age of industrialization and kind of feeling the heaviness of what industrialization brought, and how even through that landscape we're still kind of breathing heavily. So that work is about a sigh, a sense of a heavy breath that we all kind of continue to feel in a city. So yeah. Are there any other works that appeal to you that I can speak
Sam's
about?
work, of course.
Yes, so
Sam and the other gentleman, I'm forgetting his name.
Sandeep Meher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the work by Samir Kulavur and Sandeep Meher is in the first part of the exhibition, which is called Intuitions Between the Sea and the City. And, you know, for people who've not really kind of looked at the exhibition yet, I want to describe it. It's basically a miniature city, right? It's a miniature version of Mumbai. There are about 6 towers. We wanted to do 7 towers, but to kind of reflect on the 7 islands of Mumbai, but funding inhibited us from doing such things. But anyway, the work is by Samir Kulavur and Sandeep Meher. Samir Kulavur is a visual artist and Sandeep Meher is a set designer. And they're looking at what makes a city. And one of the big things that they're kind of exploring is the idea of the planning policies that have been in place to create the Mumbai that we see today. So in many ways, they're providing an overview of a city in front of us, of a lot of us who inhabit the city. And they're talking about how these cities are formed and what are these planning policies actually doing to create cities like that, right? So you see like a flyover comes so close to a balcony. You notice the various grills. One building will have like 20 different grills. You'll see the water tanks that are exposed. You see the annoying but also beautiful in the way it is, the wires that are exposed. You see the cracks in a building that, you know, for whatever reasons never really get painted, so the cracks are always left with those marks. And that's kind of what they provide, and they're built over crates. And what they're really trying to tell us is that at whose costs are we building these cities, right? Sandeep Meher also has a Koli origin, so he's commenting through the crates about these particular origins of him and of the Koli community, right? That comes at the cost of the cities that we build, of the first inhabitants of the city. A lot of works, of course, you know, can first be seen as something that's incredible and beautiful and all of that, but if you explore the context of each of the works, you often realize that they have many deeper meanings and many more meaningful moments for the people who actually inhabit it. So, yeah.
That crates angle was so... that just made you think so much, right? That, that's what all of this is built on.
Yes. Something I told you earlier, and I'm going to add now, the cities or these towers are now inhabited by the cats. And that's definitely a very interesting angle to it.
Very well thought out for you to place cats.
Yes.
In fact, we have animal pods, which a great friend, Faizan, is doing and is supported by Yoda. And we've created these human-animal pods as well. So there are animals sitting, and there are the humans sitting, and there are animals also, and we're installing them all across. And that's really, you know, you can't ignore the cats or the pet or the dogs
Street
or the street animals,
animals,
there
yeah.
are there in Sassoon.
Yeah.
There are tremendous amounts. So we are trying to make it as inclusive as possible.
yeah.
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 So the festival's on till 22nd of Feb.
Mm-hmm.
What else is ongoing though? Because there's still things in the works, right?
Yeah. Wow, that's a long list and a never-ending one, it seems. So to begin with, we have the Sassoon Docks Art Project, which is composed of intuitions and illusions between the sea and the city, along with the Asian Paints Art House, which is a very cute little colonial bungalow at the entrance of Sassoon by the Sassoon Clock Tower. We also had the Light Night Sassoon, where we explored other parts of Colaba and did light installations. That has now come to an end, but we're now exploring Bandra as a district or as a neighborhood. So Martin Khosla's sculpture is now going to be unveiling very soon at Bandstand, and we will also take over the skate park at Carter Road.
Contribute to the street park at Carter Road, not take over.
Sorry, not take over. An artist will take over the skate park, but we will contribute to the community by creating a work by zero. And then we will also have 2 landmark murals by 2 international artists on Armada and an SRA building in Dadar and in Lower Parel.
Yeah.
And then we have a very exciting inflatable sculpture by Philly Luca, who's from the UK, and that's been traveling. So we had him at Sassoon Docks Clock Tower, then he traveled to Royal Opera House, and now we're trying to find home at other spots.
We have some homes.
We have some homes.
Oh, that's the tentacle.
That's
The
the tentacle.
tentacles, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of it, and there might be some few other things that we might add before it kind of shuts.
And then we have a very robust programming. The programming team is excellent. They've done a great job, so I think you'll see a lot of programming on the weekends and even weekdays.
Yeah.
Across Sassoon Docks, inside Sassoon Docks as well. And we have beautiful things like the Marine Walk, which you've probably not been to, Priyansha.
You went only to half of it, Arjun. So you don't need to
Marine
see
walk is what time?
It's at 9 o'clock.
On Saturday
on
mornings.
Saturdays. And I think it's not every Saturday, so you need to check the calendar. But it's lovely. It's lovely because even we just sitting there, the kinds of fish there are, the way the fish react to the season, the kinds of boats which go out, which boats go out for a night journey, which come back after a month, what is the kind of catch they get, why are there enough caviar, all those things are somewhere or the other answered.
Arjun saw a shark and got very excited.
Yeah. So a flying fish flies up to 100 feet.
In Bombay?
And 100 meters, yeah. I mean, 100 meters like that.
Well,
when you say flying, it gives another
Oh,
kind of
that-
feels more vertical
Right?
than horizontal.
No, it's called the
Yeah.
flying fish, yeah.
what are the start and festival accounts people could follow for more information?
Start India and on Instagram, and I think that's the most robust one. And then startindia.org, which is a website which we've been struggling with, but it's come up finally. Mohoko Crook. I think that's where you'll get most of the information. I think social media giving information is the best, probably,
Always.
right? And unfortunately or fortunately, however you may see it.
Well, great. Thank you both for being here and
No
taking the
problem.
time out in between the festival.
Yeah.
Quite excited to visit again. I think I'll be there mid-Feb.
Yeah.
And thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having us, and thank you for the beautiful Swami.
Lovely.
Always.
Really enjoyed it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.